Shalom, my friend. I want to speak to the men for a moment. I want to speak to the man who is tired to the bone. You are working all day and half the night. You study marketing. You chase strategy. You sharpen your skills. You build offers, close calls, fix problems, and still your money feels stuck behind invisible glass. You move a little, then something breaks. You sign a deal, then it falls apart. You make progress, then an expense appears out of nowhere and wipes the win away. It feels like you are sprinting on a treadmill, pouring out energy, and getting nowhere. And here is the part that may sting. The ceiling above your income may not be the market, the government, your niche, or your competition. It may be the atmosphere in your home. I know that idea can trigger people. I can already hear the pushback. Keep business in business. Keep marriage in marriage. Numbers over here, feelings over there. But the teaching here says life does not split that neatly. There is a hidden connection. There is a deep law woven into the structure of the home that says a man's financial flow is tied to the emotional state of his wife. If she is wounded, the flow weakens. If she is deeply honored, the flow opens. Stay with me, because this is where most people click away and miss the real point. This is not just soft talk. This is not random romance advice. This is about the structure of blessing, the container that either holds what you build or lets it leak out through cracks you keep pretending not to see. If you listen closely to the end, you may realize the breakthrough you have been hunting outside the house may actually begin the moment you walk back through your own front door. The old teaching gives a blunt formula. Honor your wife so that you may become wealthy. Not just peaceful, not just more pleasant to live with. Wealthy. That is what makes people pause. Why would the way you treat your wife have anything to do with your money? To understand the idea, you have to leave modern surface thinking for a minute and see life like a builder sees structure. In this view, the world works through two forces, light and vessel. One side carries potential. The other side receives it and turns it into reality. The masculine side is the drive, the seed, the push, the plan, the energy, the hustle. The feminine side is the receiving force, the space that gathers potential and gives it shape, order, beauty, and lasting form. Here is where men often fail without even knowing it. A man can have brilliant ideas, crazy work ethic, strong ambition, and non-stop motion. He can pull down all the light in the world. But if he has no healthy vessel to hold it, the light spills out and disappears. It never settles into lasting results. In the structure of marriage, the wife is described as that vessel. If she feels hurt, unseen, dismissed, lonely, or dishonored, then the vessel is cracked. And if the vessel is cracked, the blessing leaks. That explains the man everyone knows. Smart, talented, hard-working, always almost there, but somehow always broke, always in some drama, always one step from another crisis. High energy, broken container. Then there is the opposite man. Average skills, nothing flashy, yet everything he touches grows. Why? Because peace at home gives his life somewhere for blessing to stay. Watch this closely. This alone can change the way you see success. One sage said he never called his wife my wife. He called her my home. That line is deeper than it sounds. Without her, he was not rooted. Without her, he was a traveler with plans but no center. There is an old story about a good couple who had no children after many years, and they separated because that was allowed at the time. The husband later married a destructive woman, and his life fell apart. The wife later married a difficult man, and slowly she transformed his direction. He changed. His life changed. His state changed. The lesson drawn from the story was not small. Everything in the house follows the woman's state. She shapes the atmosphere. She sets the inner climate. Think of it like this. A man may be the engine, but she is the transmission. The engine can roar all it wants. Without the transmission, the car goes nowhere. There is also the famous story of a poor, uneducated shepherd who became one of the greatest teachers only because his wife saw his hidden future when nobody else did. Her father rejected them. They lived in deep poverty. She endured years of struggle so he could learn, grow, and become what he was meant to become. When he returned with honor, influence, and thousands of students, he said that everything he had and everything they had was because of her. That was not just a sweet line. It was a statement of spiritual fact. What looked like his success was also her belief, her sacrifice, her strength, her container, her ability to hold a future that did not yet exist. Don't miss that. The world celebrates the visible man, but many times the invisible force that made him stable enough to rise was the woman standing quietly at the center of his home. So what does honor really mean? It is more than not being rude, more than buying flowers once in a while, more than avoiding divorce. To honor something means to treat it as weighty, valuable, precious, and not to be handled carelessly. Think about how you treat a major asset in your business. You protect it, you maintain it, you watch it, you invest in it, you do not neglect it, and then act shocked when it stops producing. That same logic is being applied here to the emotional world of your marriage. If your wife is one of the main channels through which peace, clarity, intuition, and blessing settle into the home, then honoring her means protecting her emotional stability instead of casually damaging it. It means when you come through the door, you do not drag the entire battlefield of the marketplace into the kitchen. It means you do not make your stress her burden and then expect warmth back on demand. It means you understand that if she feels safe, heard, valued, and cherished, the whole atmosphere of the house changes. The vessel opens, it expands, it becomes strong enough to hold more. And there is another layer here people ignore. Many wise men have trusted a woman's intuition when making serious decisions, because she often senses danger before a man who is blinded by profit does. He sees numbers, she senses character, he sees opportunity. She notices the feeling in the room. Ignore that long enough, and you do not just lose peace, you lose protection. And yes, this matters, really matters, because not every bad deal arrives wearing a warning sign. Sometimes the first alarm in a man's life is the discomfort his wife feels before he has the wisdom to listen. Now we have to step into the danger zone. If you regularly make your wife cry, you may be tearing holes in your own future. The warning from the tradition is severe. Be extremely careful with the pain of your wife, because her tears rise fast. The image is intense. Most gates may be slow to open, but the gates of tears are never shut. In plain words, when a woman is deeply hurt by the man who is supposed to protect her heart, that pain does not vanish into the air. It rises, it carries weight, and when that pain keeps rising, the flow of blessing can close. The man often thinks the market turned on him. He blames timing, he blames politics, he blames clients. But what if part of the blockage is spiritual? What if he damaged the atmosphere that used to protect him? What if the issue is not only what he is doing in public, but what he is doing in private? I have seen men act strong outside and reckless at home. They shout, mock, cheat, ignore, dismiss, disappear emotionally, and then act confused when life begins to crumble around the edges. Deals stall, costs multiply, peace evaporates, focus drops, sleep breaks. Even when money comes in, it runs out just as fast. Which brings us to a key idea. Peace in the home is not simply the absence of arguments. Peace is a container. Peace is what lets blessing stay. Imagine trying to fill a wooden barrel with gold while the bands holding it together are loose. Coins keep slipping through the sides. That is what conflict does. The income may still come, but retention disappears. A repair bill here, a lawsuit there, a medical issue, an emergency, a sudden loss. Money enters, but it does not remain. That is the curse of a cracked container. And if you are wise, you will stop asking only how to earn more, and start asking how to stop leaking what you already fought to receive. This is why the old advice sounds so radical to modern ears. Spend modestly on food. Spend within reason on yourself. But when it comes to your wife and children, stretch beyond your usual comfort. At first that sounds irresponsible, but the idea is not reckless spending, it is value signaling. It is showing heaven what you truly treasure. If you are quick to upgrade your tools, your subscriptions, your gadgets, your image, your hobbies, your car, your office, your watch, but painfully tight-fisted when it comes to her joy, her rest, her comfort, her beauty, her relief, then what are you really saying? You are saying the vessel matters less than the grind. And in this framework, that choice closes more doors than you realize. When a man invests in honoring his wife, whether by easing her burden, buying with generosity, creating experiences that refresh her heart, or simply proving by action that she is not an afterthought, he is making a declaration, I value the vessel. And the response to that declaration, according to this way of thinking, is more light to fill it. In simple terms, if you stretch for her, life stretches back for you. If you count every penny with her while spending freely on your ego, do not be surprised when your own increase feels measured and small. Now yes, many men instantly object, but you don't know my wife. She is difficult. She nags. She complains. She is not grateful. Fine, let's talk honestly. Sometimes what a man calls difficulty is actually pain with no safe place to go. Sometimes the tension he feels from her is the reflection of energy he has been feeding the marriage for years. A mirror does not invent a face, it reflects one. If you bring criticism, neglect, coldness, and defensiveness into her world, why are you shocked when resistance looks back at you? That is the hard medicine for the male ego. If you dislike the reflection, stop arguing with the mirror and start changing the face you bring into the room. Leadership in a home does not mean domination. It does not mean being the loudest voice, the least emotional person, or the one who gets the final word. It means being the source of steady energy. If the river is dirty, check the source. If the home is tense, check what you are feeding it every day with your presence, your words, your tone, your attention, and your absence. A woman who receives steady honor often becomes softer, brighter, calmer, and more radiant. Not overnight, not by magic, but consistently. She begins to trust again. She begins to open again. She begins to create again. The man who wants instant change usually fails because he performs for one weekend and then returns to old habits on Monday. But the man who changes his energy for real and keeps changing it starts to alter the climate of the whole home. This is not about fake nice guy behavior. It is not manipulation. It is disciplined love. It may take a month. It may take 6 months. If wounds are deep, it may take longer. But if you are building a legacy and not just hunting quick emotional wins, then you stay with the process. You stop asking, how do I win this argument? And start asking, how do I heal the atmosphere my children breathe every day? That question changes everything. And if you are still watching mentally, stay locked in, because this next part is where the script turns practical. The repair is possible. The vessel can be restored. In fact, when a cracked vessel is repaired with wisdom, humility, and love, it often becomes stronger than before because both people finally understand what is truly at stake. Here is the repair path in simple language. First, the apology. Real apology, not a speech hiding excuses inside polished words. Sit with your wife. Look at her properly. Slow down. Say you are sorry for chasing success while making her feel secondary. Say you are sorry for not treating her like a source of blessing in your life. Say you are sorry for the moments she felt unseen, unheard, or emotionally alone while you were busy trying to conquer the world outside. And then stop. No defending yourself. No turning the conversation toward her flaws. No accounting ledger of what you also suffered. Just own your part. That move alone can begin to melt years of ice because humility opens doors that force never can. Second, change the way you enter the house. Most men walk through the front door still carrying the energy of war. They are scrolling, irritated, mentally absent, half in a phone call, half replaying the day, already bracing for another problem. That poisons the room before they speak a word. So create a threshold habit. Before you touch the doorknob, pause, breathe, drop the day, put the phone away for a little while. Enter as a husband and father, not as a stressed executive. For the first 5 minutes, just connect. Find her, touch her shoulder, kiss her forehead, look at her eyes, ask how she is, ask how the day felt. Do not rush to fix. Do not immediately demand food, silence, or service. Those first few minutes set the emotional frequency of the entire evening. Win those minutes and you often win the night. Win enough nights and you rebuild the home. Rebuild the home and you strengthen the vessel. Strengthen the vessel, and everything outside begins to feel less cursed, less blocked, less chaotic. Sometimes your biggest breakthrough does not start in a boardroom. It starts with 5 clean minutes at your own doorway. Third, use words like a builder, not like a destroyer. Your speech shapes the emotional weather of the house. Many men think because they are not screaming, they are doing fine. But silence can starve just as much as insults can wound. Every day, praise your wife for something specific, not vague flattery, specific honor. Notice her patience with the children. Notice the order she brings. Notice the warmth she creates. Notice the way she carries burdens nobody claps for. Tell her clearly what you see. Women often carry invisible labor, and invisible labor becomes lonely when it is never named. Praise gives oxygen to the soul. It tells her she is not disappearing in plain sight. And here is the stronger move. Honor her publicly. Praise her in front of the children. Speak well of her in front of family. Let people know you see her value. Public honor heals places private neglect has bruised. Fourth, stop hiding money and fear. Many men create secrecy around finances because they think control equals leadership. It does not. Secrets create shadow. Shadow creates fear. Fear creates tension. And tension weakens trust. If your wife is your partner, treat her like a partner. Share the real picture. Share the goals. Share the risks. Share the plan. Ask for her support. Ask for her prayer. Ask for her blessing over major moves. When she feels included instead of managed, something changes in the emotional field of the marriage. Trust grows. And trust is not sentimental. Trust is structural. Trust holds weight. Then there is the weekly reset, a beautiful custom in Jewish life, where the husband sings words of honor to his wife on Friday night before the meal. Even if you do not sing, the principle matters. Set a weekly moment when you speak life over her value. No matter what happened that week, reset the atmosphere. Remind her who she is. Remind yourself who she is. When a home practices regular honor, resentment has less room to pile up like dust in forgotten corners. And now let's speak to the man who thinks all of this sounds too soft, too emotional, too far beneath his image of strength. Listen carefully. There is nothing weak about protecting a woman's heart. There is nothing small about controlling your ego. There is nothing low status about listening deeply, apologizing honestly, or changing your habits for the health of your family. Real strength is not loud. Real strength is disciplined. It is easy for a weak man to bark, interrupt, withdraw, roll his eyes, or punish with coldness. It takes a stronger man to stay present when his pride wants to escape. It takes real force to hear pain without becoming defensive. It takes maturity to notice that your wife does not only need provision in the form of money, she needs provision in the form of safety, steadiness, and emotional cover. If you fail there, no amount of chest-beating masculinity can hide the weakness. The man who protects the heart of his wife is not less of a man, he is more of one, because kings do not only conquer territory, they secure the throne room, they guard the center. If the center is unstable, the kingdom shakes. If the center is peaceful, the outer walls hold. So if you want to break the ceiling above your life, maybe stop looking first for another trick, another funnel, another side hustle, another investment, another shiny promise. Go home and repair what has been asking for your attention all along. Bring flowers on an ordinary Tuesday. Sit and listen without trying to solve every sentence. Thank her for what she carries. Ease a burden without announcing it like a hero. Create a house where her nervous system can finally unclench. Then watch what happens. Watch the tension leave the rooms. Watch the children breathe easier. Watch your own mind clear. Watch strange delays start to lift. Watch opportunities arrive with less friction. Sometimes the money follows the peace more than the hustle. Sometimes what looks like luck is simply what can finally stay once the vessel is no longer leaking. So here is the challenge. Try this for 30 days. Not as a performance, not as a trick, not as a way to test whether she deserves it. Do it because honor is right. Do it because the atmosphere of your home is holy ground. Do it because you are tired of building with one hand and breaking with the other. For 30 days, treat her like the queen of your house. Speak gently. Praise specifically. Enter the home with intention. Tell the truth about money. Ask for her wisdom. Protect her dignity in public and in private. Refuse to use sharp words when softer ones will do. If there is distance, bridge it. If there is tension, lower the fire instead of adding fuel. If there is hurt, own your part first, and then observe. Watch how her shoulders begin to relax. Watch how the tone of the house shifts. Watch how your evenings change. Watch how your own heart changes too, because a man who honors his wife is not only helping her heal, he is becoming more whole himself. This is the deeper secret. The home is not separate from the rest of life. It is the center from which the rest of life takes shape. A man without peace in his home often lives without joy, without clear blessing, without stability, without protection, without rest. But when peace settles into the center, everything built from that center gains strength. That is why the message is simple, even if it is not easy. Stop treating your wife like background noise in the story of your ambition. Treat her like the living heart of your house. Build the vessel, guard the vessel, honor the vessel, and then let life show you what it looks like when effort finally meets a container strong enough to hold the reward. Shalom.